everybody, it's Mrs. Adams. I thought I would show you a couple of practice problems so that when you're doing your homework at home, you can have a little reminder of the steps that we follow at school. So the first problem we're going to do is a 3-digit dividend with a 1-digit divisor. So here with this 3-digit dividend, we have 452. And our question is, how many groups of 3 can we take out of 452? So if we go over here on another piece of paper, maybe we can make a list of groups of 3. That might be a helpful little guide as we figure out where we want to start. Back at our problem, we noticed that the dividend is a really big number. So we want to start out with a good amount of 3s. If I wanted to, I could start with one little group of 3 over here and subtract 3, but that would take a really long time and I might make a subtraction mistake. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start by making my list. Some people found this helpful last week. So when we're thinking of how many 3s we want to take out, we can either think of multiples of 10 or multiples of 100. Since our problem has a big dividend, we might want to start in the hundreds column. So 3 times 100, we know, equals 300. Let's look back at our problem. Can we take 300 away from this dividend? We can, right? So that might be a really nice place to start to get that dividend down really fast. So 100 groups of 3 is going to be 300, and I'm going to go ahead and subtract that. And I'm left with 152. So now I go back to my list. I can't use 100 groups again because 300 is too large. I can't subtract 152 minus 300. So now I know I'm going to have to use some of my multiples of 10. So if I go over here, I can make my list pretty quickly because these are easy facts for me. 3 times 10 equals 30. Could I do 3 times 10 equals 30 and subtract 30 from this? I could, right? But I think I can get a little bit closer and make a little bit less subtraction for myself. So I go over here and I go to the next multiple of 10, 3 times 20, which we know equals 60. Will that one work? Could I subtract 60 from this number? I could, but I think I can get a little closer, so I'm going to keep going back to my list. Now I'll try the next multiple of 10, which is 3 times 30. That equals 90. Ooh, we're getting closer. Let's go. Let's keep going. 3 times 40. That equals 120. Now I'm in the hundreds, so I'm really close. I could stop at this point and do 40 groups of 3 and subtract 120. But I think that the next one, 3 times 50, might get just even closer. So 3 times 50 equals 150, and that's just about perfect. So on my list over here, I have 3 times 50 equals 150. I think that's a good one for me to go with. So now I'm going to go 50 groups off to the side, subtract 150 because that's 50 times 3, and I'm left with 2. At this point, some people don't really know what to do. We know, we talked about in class, that if you have a remainder, you know it's a remainder and it's time to stop because it's less than your divisor. So always keep looking back at your divisor. Can I take even one more group of 3 out of 2? I can't, right? If I took one more group of 3 and I tried to subtract 3, I'm going to be in negative number land, and that's not where we want to be. So I know now that I'm finished. I need to add up how many groups of 3 I took out. 100 plus 50 is 150, and I have a remainder of 2. We did one extra step on Friday, and that was to turn our remainder into a fraction. Let me show you what that looks like. When we change our remainders into fractions, remember the whole number of groups stays the same. We don't do anything different there. The top of your fraction is always your remainder, so that's 2 in this situation. And the bottom of our fraction is always the divisor, so that's 3. Either one of these answers is acceptable for your homework. Hopefully this video helped you, and if not, remember, no more than half an hour on your math homework. Write me a note and tell me what strategies you used if you weren't able to finish.